In Pittsburgh's brand new Three Rivers Stadium, the Steelers' preseason miracle man Terry Bradshaw, number 12, suddenly became just another rookie quarterback. The poise and precision of a brilliant preseason was shattered by a persistent Houston defense. Linebacker Ron Pritchard, number 58, intercepted one of Bradshaw's passes, and the Oilers' offense turned it into a touchdown. Later in the game, Houston's relentless rush forced Bradshaw out of the end zone for a safety. Without Bradshaw's passing game, the Steeler attack stumbled ineffectively throughout most of the game. On the other hand, Houston's offense, directed by 10-year veteran Charlie Johnson at quarterback and powered by number 32, Hoyle Granger, ran through the Steeler defense for consistent gains. Woody Campbell, number 35, shared the ball-carrying chores with Granger, giving the Oilers a double-barrel ground attack that the Steelers could not contain. With Pittsburgh's defenses massed against the run, Johnson passed to Jerry Levias for the game's first score. In the second period, Mike Richardson, number 24, picked up where Granger and Campbell left off. Houston's running game was moving so well that even tiny Jerry Levias, number 23, got a chance to carry the ball and stole through the Steelers for a 17-yard gain. Levias racked up Houston's second touchdown when he grabbed a quick pass from Johnson. Late in the final period, Terry Hanratty did what Terry Bradshaw could not and passed to rookie Ron Shanklin for a touchdown. It was the only score the Steelers could manage as Houston won 19-7.
In Denver, the young Steelers hoped to begin a new tradition. The style, however, was strangely reminiscent of Pittsburgh past as Denver took over. Number 44, Floyd Little, is quick enough to veer outside and sturdy enough to turn upfield and get the tough yardage. Little rocked to the one, and then Willis Crenshaw made his own way in. Denver had the quick lead, but one play completely reversed the momentum. Punter Bobby Walden surprised the Broncos with this quick toss to Dave Smith. A Dick Hoke touchdown and 2 Gene Mingo field goals gave Pittsburgh the advantage, but the Bronco defense still had something to say. Rookie Terry Bradshaw, number 12, continued to have his regular season problems. Number 56, Dave Washington, brought Denver back, but Steve Tenzie put on the clincher. Tenzie entered the game for starter Pete Lisk and sent a 40-yard shot to Bill Van Heusen. Tenzie's relief pitching vaulted Denver back into the lead, and with more than a quarter remaining, the rest was up to the Bronco defense. Again, it was rookie Dave Washington leading the assault. The 9th-round draft choice was everywhere, finishing off Bradshaw and the Steelers for good with a perfect blitz. The energetic young Broncos had earned their second straight victory and sole possession of first place in the AFC West.
In Cleveland, the fans weren't thrilled at the prospect of facing the Steelers without their star quarterback Bill Nelson, who is out with a knee injury. In his place was number 11, Don Galt, a widely unheralded rookie from Hofstra University. Galt's opponent was Pittsburgh's widely heralded rookie, Terry Bradshaw, whose first 2 games as a pro had provided a rude awakening. But Bradshaw was due to blossom at any moment, and Cleveland fans hoped that it wouldn't be against them. The Steelers struck quickly as number 47, Melvin Blount, took the opening kickoff 91 yards to the Browns' 5. But Bradshaw couldn't take it in from there, and the field goal attempt went amiss. In fact, every time Bradshaw got the Steelers within striking distance, something seemed to go amiss. And midway through his 3rd game as a pro, Terry Bradshaw had yet to pass or run for a touchdown. Amazingly enough, for the 3rd consecutive game, number 12 was dropped in his own end zone for a safety. Even the good plays seemed to go awry. On this one, number 25, Ron Shanklin, twisted and turned and leapt his way clear. And then, thinking he'd made it look too easy, he headed for the most crowded spot on the field. But the bad luck that had been plaguing Terry Bradshaw was about to be changed. Finding his receivers covered, Bradshaw made a mad dash for the end zone, and on the way, nothing bad happened. The Steelers led 7-2. The jinx had been broken, or had it? While the Steelers had taken the lead, Don Galt had been throwing 1 completion in 16 attempts. So the Browns went to their bench and came up with a youthful-looking rookie from Purdue University, a quarterback named Mike Phipps. Phipps wasted no time in hitting number 26, Reese Morrison, for 53 yards and a touchdown. Then some of the boys got together at ringside for a short debate about that particular play. Moments after order returned, the Bradshaw jinx hit again, and number 40, Erich Barnes, sewed up the victory for the Browns 15-7. And if anyone has an extra good luck charm lying around, they should know where to send it by now. Although they were the darlings of the preseason, winning 4 out of 5, the Steelers were unable to win any of their first 3 regular season games. Even quarterback sensation Terry Bradshaw was honing new skills. But the Steelers were obviously improved, and at home against the Buffalo Bills, they manifested that improvement into their first victory. John Fuqua, number 33, obtained from the Giants, lent credibility to a previously shoddy running attack. But the passing attack still faltered, and shortly after Al Cowling's number 82 proved it, Terry was playing his least favorite role, that of a spectator. In his place, Terry Hanratty, number 5, who led the Steelers to a 10-3 lead in the second quarter on a pass to Dave Smith, number 88. The Bills, who had knocked off the Jets the previous week, don't have O.J. Simpson for nothing, and he kept the Steelers off balance with slashing runs. Rookie quarterback Dennis Shaw, number 16, threw several long completions to Haven Moses, number 25. But they weren't able to score any touchdowns until the third quarter, when Simpson cashed in on a 4-yard run to tie the score at 10-all. The game was marked by several outstanding defensive plays by both teams. The Bills effectively choked off the Steelers until the fourth quarter, when a rash of interceptions betrayed them. After Simpson's touchdown, the Bills, who had moved the ball successfully, found their offense being cracked head-on and otherwise. In the fourth quarter, Bradshaw returned to the game and thrilled the crowd with a 16-yard touchdown run that unfortunately ended 5 yards short of the goal line when he stepped out of bounds. So Preston Pearson, number 26, mopped up and put the Steelers comfortably ahead. Pittsburgh also got crucial help from veteran Gene Mingo, who kicked 3 field goals. Pittsburgh now has the people to win, and it won't be long before they do so consistently.
In Houston, 2 teams in search of a consistent quarterback met with far-reaching results for both clubs. The Oilers and the Steelers are both capable of being serious title contenders when their quarterbacking straightens out. The Steelers are depending upon a rookie, Terry Bradshaw, number 12, to deliver them from their shroud of defeat. But mistakes sometimes nullify talent. But aside from his talent, Terry is strong and resilient. And even though the Oilers unloaded on him a few times, he unloaded to Donnie Shanklin, number 25, with a 67-yard touchdown pass, the first of young Bradshaw's career. The second quarter play put the Steelers ahead 7-3. To solve their woes, the Oilers obtained 10-year veteran Charlie Johnson from the Cardinals. Johnson moved the team with more success than had any of his recent predecessors. But the Oilers and Charlie Johnson suffered a cruel blow when, following a freakish interception, he was inadvertently clipped and fell on his shoulder, breaking the collarbone. Ironically, there were but 6 seconds left in the half at the time of his injury, and the Oilers never recovered. Johnson's replacement, Jerry Rome, number 17, made a considerable contribution, but he made crucial errors that the Steelers turned to their advantage as Pittsburgh hung on to win 7-3. The future looks bright for Bradshaw and the Steelers, but for Charlie Johnson and the Oilers, his 6 to 8 week absence could make the sound of any music hollow indeed.
In Oakland, the resurgent Raiders were looking for their 3rd win in a row. Their opponents were the hapless Pittsburgh Steelers, led by number 12 Terry Bradshaw, who seems to be living in the eye of a hurricane. And last Sunday, he was swept down in the black and silver vortex time after time. But the ever-undaunted Bradshaw sprinted right and arced a skyrocket to number 33, John Fuqua, who galloped in for the score, which unfortunately for Pittsburgh was nullified by a penalty. Still, the Louisiana Laser punched the ball goalward. He hit Ron Shanklin near the end zone. And then he beamed one to tight end Dennis Hughes, and the Steelers were in good shape. That is until Oakland unleashed their prize rookie tight end, Raymond Chester, number 87. Chester caught 3 touchdown passes, as well as this one that was called back. Darryl LaMonica, number 3, hit him on this one, but Darryl soon left the game with an injury. LaMonica's backup, 43-year-old George Blanda, number 16, took over and kept the ball spinning toward Chester, who is 21 years George's junior. By now, the Steelers were only spectators at the Raymond Chester show, and they watched bedazzled as Oakland's third great strike-from-anywhere receiver cut a swath to the end zone where he was deservedly congratulated. And lest we forget, there was always Blanda to wonderful Warren Wells, number 81, performing his usual atrocities on the opposing secondary. For the Steelers, a tough day. For the Raiders, a 31-14 victory salute and an ever tougher offense. Are you listening, Kansas City?
In India, there's a legend that if a man stares into the eyes of the Bengal tiger, he becomes hypnotized and cannot function properly. In Cincinnati, the Steelers found that the legend is true. Their mistakes cost them heavily and were compounded by the fact that they were called to everyone's attention by the Bengals' new scoreboard. One Pittsburgh error led to this touchdown by number 11, Virgil Carter. And the next time the Bengals got the ball, Carter led them on a beautifully executed drive down the field. Number 18, Paul Robinson, tore up the middle of the Steelers' line. Carter then hit number 25, Chip Myers, who's no relation to Chip Glass. And then it was Paul Robinson again, only this time he swept in for a score. Robinson's touchdown added to the Bengals' lead and touched off some of the exuberance that has made Cincinnati a contender in the last couple of weeks. The Bengal defense has also been a factor in their recent upswing, and as always, the scoreboard chronicled their success in less than a subtle manner. Undaunted, Steeler quarterback Terry Hanratty stared right into the eyes of the Bengal attack and also threw the ball there to number 66, Bill Berge. The interception by Berge was duly noted by the scoreboard. And then Carter hit number 84, Bob Trumpy, whose long strides carried him off to the end zone land. The Cincinnati lead was now insurmountable, but Carter decided to rub it in, and the Bengals' final score came on a beautiful hookup with number 10, Eric Crabtree. And as one Pittsburgh player left the field, he was heard to mutter, "Why do they keep the poor Tiger mascot of theirs locked in a cage, when what they really need is a muzzle for the scoreboard?" Bengals 34, Steelers 7. The Pittsburgh Steelers hosted the Kansas City Chiefs in new Three Rivers Stadium, and Ed Podolak politely presented the Steelers a housewarming gift. But like Indian givers, the Chiefs took it right back as Willie Mitchell stripped Preston Pearson of the ball and Bobby Bell recovered for Kansas City. Starting quarterback Terry Hanratty was fleeced by Jimmy the Gem Marcellus. And for a time, these two tough Stone Age squads traded favors in kind until it seemed that neither was willing to take advantage of the other. Defense has been the reason for Pittsburgh's strong showing in 1970, and number 44 Lee Callan is one of the ringleaders of that unit they call Track Down Incorporated. But after a stuttering start, Kansas City got rolling in the tracks of robust Robert Tank Holmes. And Lynn Dawson, one of the more famous cast-off Steeler quarterbacks, gave Pittsburgh the air, hooking up on 19 of 24 passes for 257 yards and 3 touchdowns. This one, the first of 2, to his dentist, Billy Cannon. And when dream quarterback Terry Bradshaw came on to put some oomph in the Steeler offense, he suffered another rude awakening to the pro game, this time at the hands of Johnny Robinson. It's likely that in their 2 Terrys, Pittsburgh holds at least one of the great quarterbacks for the future. But for now, it was Lynn Dawson's day, returning to the city where he began his pro career a decade ago. The Chiefs and Lenny Dawson stopped the Steelers 31-14. In Pittsburgh, signs told the story. If the Steelers beat the Browns, they would move into a tie for the AFC Central Division lead. Quarterbacking the Browns was Pittsburgh cast-off Bill Nelson, a man they hadn't beaten since trading him away. Terry Hanratty was a starting quarterback for the Steelers, and he teamed with Ron Shanklin for an 8-yard touchdown pass as Pittsburgh scored on their first possession. The Steeler defense is traditionally tough and led by Chuck Hinton, number 64, and Joe Green, number 75. It held Leroy Kelly, the newest member of the 5,000-yard club, to 0 yards rushing. Pittsburgh's defensemen so bottled up the Browns that Cleveland's only points were 3 Don Cockcroft field goals. The defense went one step further as Chuck Beatty, number 37, raced 30 yards for the deflected interception. The score was the first by the Steeler defense this year. The Cleveland defense also had its moment of mayhem, and on this play put Hanratty out of the game. The Brown Bruisers were eager for their shot at Mr. Bradshaw, but he completely dazzled them. He faked to backs, faked passes, faked a fumble, and then ran for 20 of his 50 yards rushing. The rookie quarterback also snowed the Browns with his play calling as he sent John Fuqua on his way with a screen pass. Behind perfect blocks by number 56 Ray Mansfield and Dave Smith, number 88, he toted the pigskin 44 yards. Like all good signal callers, when a play worked, Terry kept using it. Another screen to Fuqua resulted in a 57-yard touchdown. But Bradshaw's arm was made to throw short and long. A perfectly thrown pass to Ron Shanklin resulted in an 81-yard touchdown, a 28-9 victory, and a share of the AFC Central lead with Cleveland and Cincinnati. We'll have more exciting action on This Week in Pro Football right after this brief message. In cold, snowy Pittsburgh, the Steelers were tied for first in the AFC Central. Their talented young field generals, Terry Hanratty and Terry Bradshaw, learned a few cold weather lessons from the master of their trade. The master being Green Bay's Bart Starr. The temperature hovered around 20 degrees and gusty winds made it even colder. But even under these conditions, Green Bay's Larry Krause, number 30, generated a lot of heat as he scorched across the frozen turf for 100 yards and a touchdown on the opening kickoff. Both receivers and defenders had a tough time distinguishing footballs from snowflakes, and often their efforts ended in empty-handed frustration. The biting cold had a greater effect on the young and inexperienced Steelers. Pittsburgh receivers saw many passes slip through their frostbitten fingers. Number 12, Terry Bradshaw, managed to thaw out for one glorious moment as he combined with number 88, Dave Smith, for an 87-yard touchdown, the second longest in Steeler history. Coming from traditionally cold Green Bay, Bart Starr is right at home in foul weather, and he punctured the frozen air for 2 touchdowns. The first went to number 81, Rich McGeorge. Starr's second touchdown pass went to number 86, John Hilton, and iced the 20-12 Packer victory that dropped Pittsburgh into second place in the AFC Central. In Atlanta, the Steelers needed a win to stay one game behind the Bengals and keep their fading title chances alive as they faced the Falcons, a team with nothing to lose but pride. Pittsburgh started rather slowly as Terry Hanratty's pass on the first play from scrimmage was intercepted by Ken Reeves. The play set up Randy Johnson's pass to Art Malone and a quick 7-0 lead. It was the first score in a game in which the lead would change hands 4 times. The Falcon touchdown was offset by John Fuqua's 10-yard rumble, but a missed extra point left the Steelers trailing by 1. They got that one and two more when Andy Russell's interception set up a field goal. Following a field goal that put the Falcons back on top, the Steelers regained the lead when Mel Blunt raced 70 yards with a kickoff. The run set up Fuqua's second touchdown, a 6-incher. From that point on, the Falcon defense shut off the Steeler runners and forced Pittsburgh to throw. John Zook caught one of Terry Bradshaw's throws and plotted to the 12-yard line. The third of 5 Falcon interceptions set up Jim Mitchell's end-around touchdown. Mitchell's run gave the Falcons a go-ahead touchdown as he just reached the end zone, although some people didn't quite see it that way. The last Atlanta score was the result of the efforts of their offense. Harmon Wages skittered 40 yards to start the drive, and Johnson and Paul Flatley finished it on an 18-yard hookup. The 27-16 victory was a peak in the Falcons' up-and-down season, but it marked the end of the line for the Steelers' 1970 title hopes. The Eagles met the Steelers in the last pro football game at Franklin Field. Although interstate rivals, their methods of attack were miles apart. The Steelers moved the ball through the air on passes like this to Dave Smith, who broke Ray Jones's tackles twice on the run. But when it came time to score, they relied on the rushes of John Fuqua. Fuqua outraced the whole Eagle team for 72 yards on the Steelers' first play from scrimmage, and later rambled 85 more for his second touchdown of the day. John Fuqua amassed 218 yards rushing for the day, the best performance by a running back this year. And at times, it seemed that the only thing that could stop him was Fuqua himself. The Eagles were the reverse of the Steelers, moving well on the thrusts of Cyril Pender. But when they needed points, they got them through the air. Norm Snead first hooked up with Ben Hawkins for a 21-yard touchdown, and another Snead pass went to wide-open Gary Ballman, good for 19 yards and another touch. The Eagles got another touchdown on Terry Bradshaw's first pro punt, when Bill Hobbs blocked it and Mike Dirks fell on the end zone. With only 4 minutes to play and the game tied 20-20, Snead passes to Harold Jackson carried the Eagles into field goal range. Mark Mosley's three-pointer and a 1-yard dive by Larry Watkins wrapped up the scoring as a disappointing season ended for both teams.